We'll call the meeting to order. Verification of open meetings been taken care of. You can post the mic.
Yes.
Okay. Approval of the agenda.
So moved.
Second. A motion and a second. Discussion. None. All those in favor of approving the agenda, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Minutes from our last meeting, which was October 13th. Chance to look those over.
We approve the minutes from October 13th.
Second.
There's a motion and a second to approve the minutes from our last meeting. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. No public, so no public comments, obviously. Staff reports.
All right, let's see, so I passed out tonight, first, I guess, the budget report. You can see the one that's, budget report at the top. So this is the summary ending on September 30th, just to show you where we're at. Pretty much in line with everything. As you can see, we've got, from our budget, 9% of revenues left to collect, which is good with 1 month left to collect. And expenses, we've got 13% left to spend, 1 month left. So we're in good shape there. Nothing really major to point out here. I think membership fees are pretty much in line with where we need to be to finish up at what our budget number was. We're a little bit over on things like pop keys. Those have been selling really well. Pops last year sold really well as well. A little bit behind on some class fees, day passes. Day passes will pick up a little bit more now with the weather turning. And we've got just the second half of the city payment coming in yet. But other than that, our revenues are looking in good shape. And then as far as expenses go, we're pretty much right on track with salaries and wages. We're pretty much at our limit or slightly over in our maintenance repairs budget. We did have quite a few things with pumps this year. So we are kind of falling towards the end here with everything's right now is expected in good shape, but again, an aging facility and really went just a little bit over that number for maintenance and repairs. But again, we're under in some areas, especially benefits and those areas. So we are looking in pretty good shape there. I don't know if anyone has any questions about budget, but we don't expect anything significant or surprises in December. So we're looking at our budget numbers. Nothing on that. Then the other one I passed out tonight was the membership report. Membership summary. Like that there. Okay, so this is November totals. So you can see I compared them with last month. You can see if you go kind of down to that chart at the bottom, the membership changes in 2025. We're seeing a similar pattern to what we normally see, that November, December starts rising up again, and we get into the low 2200s or so until the spring, and then we drop down a little bit to that 1700. And that's been pretty common. It's the same thing that we had last year, a little bit higher than the year before that. But going back in past numbers, it's very similar to have a low of around that 1700 and a high around the 2200 or so. Kind of difference between the two. You can see that we continue to pick up 12-month memberships at the top there. Those are, which is actually a good sign that people again still feel comfortable with Symons and with the future. So we do continue to see a rise in in annual memberships. And then continued drop in the 1 month membership. So more people are converting they're doing longer term memberships, which is good. A slight rise from, again, from last month, but again, we're pretty similar to what last year's numbers were in November at 1,700 numbers. Visits, again, you can see where our visits are coming. Again, they continue to be mainly on Mondays and Wednesdays. Normal classes that we have are Monday, Wednesday, Fridays for most classes. So that's when we do usually see the larger numbers. Again, this was November, so we were closed one Thursday and one Friday in there for Thanksgiving and the day after Thanksgiving. So those numbers reflect a little bit there. Insurance visits, again, those were down a little bit actually. And again, those are members that we do get paid for by the number of visits they come in. So for example, someone that's on silver sneakers, they don't pay us anything, but their insurance company pays each time that they come into the complex. So every month we have to go in and we have to check their membership and see how many times they checked in. And then we send that into to silver sneakers or to the company. And then they give us so many dollars per time that they visit. So the more they visit, the more money we get basically. So we try to encourage those people to check in as much as they can. We did have a slight drop in November passes as well. Part of that, again, was October, we had our open house, so we had we had more day passes or more people coming in during the day. So that's part of that drop there as well. And then the hourlies, pretty similar to what we normally see in most months. We kind of see where the big visited times are, and that's again throughout the morning until about 11 o'clock or so when it drops down, and then it picks up again around 4 or 5 o'clock in the afternoon. So, any questions on memberships for this? Otherwise, it's pretty standard and pretty much what we normally see around this time of year. Things are starting to pick up a little bit again. Just a couple other things real quick. We had our ugly sweater run walk just Saturday night. There were a little over 60 people there, so Kyle, if you want to mention a little bit about that, you did a lot of the work on that one.
Yeah, we had only about 35, 40-ish signed up ahead of time, and then there was a mad rush of people, of course, the day of. So it was a pretty cool event. Left feeling pretty good afterwards. People loved being in the gym. It was obviously we had to chill in there, but then families just hung out, played basketball. I mean, it was just much better than being in Symons, where it's a lot smaller, but it was good. Weather somewhat cooperated, but only one person fell. Other than that, yeah, it was good. A lot of people. More than last year. It's like every event we do seems to grow a little bit. So,
any questions on ugly sweater or anything? It was pretty well received, so nicely done. And then one other thing, the other thing that we did have last month was a Celebrate Pink event. We've had it for a few years now, but members will donate items that we have a silent auction for during the week, during the week. And we normally raise, and this has been going on for, I don't know how many years now, 4 or 5 years, 10 years?
yeah.
That long already? All right, so it's normally been, I think, between $2,000 and $3,000, I think. They said they normally raise last year, we were about $2,400-$2,500. This year, I think it was a little over $3,200, so it's a pretty successful one. And then every year, members select what they like the money to go towards before they do the bidding on it. This year, they selected a leg extension, leg curl machine, which a lot of members have been asking for that we haven't had in the weight room. So, and Kyle was able to find one that's right around what the donations we got and for the foundation today. So we'll talk about that a little bit later, but that went over really well as well. So, and that's turned into more of a social event too, where when they announced the winners of the silent auction with coffee and cookies and that type of thing. So people like to sit around and talk and have fun there. So that's all I got for staff report.
Great. Foundation report.
Well, the foundation is starting, as I reported last month, we got about $100,000. That was, targeted for an endowment fund. We're starting to look at firms now we can partner with to get that endowment fund established. Probably one or two local ones and one that's based in Baraboo. So we're getting that ball rolling. Then we also authorized purchase of a large screen TV that's going to be in the coffee bar area to recognize all the donors and what, that, contributed during the last financial campaign. And then we'd also like to start posting pictures of all of the items that Simon, or the foundation has paid for at Simon, so the membership knows what their money's being used on, just to put that out in front of people. So that's all I got.
Great. Innovation grant.
Let's see if Craig's online. Craig, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Can you hear me okay?
We can, yeah, I can't get the screen working for some reason, but I see you're on, so, Craig is with IPA doing he's one of the, people doing a study for us for the innovation study, and we've been doing some site visits that, he's been set up for us, and he's gone along with us, and Al was able to go to a couple, Kyle was able to go to one, Dean was able to go to one or two, I think, so. Craig, if you wanna go ahead and introduce yourself and talk a little bit about the, site visits, I appreciate it.
My pleasure. Good evening, everyone. I do see some friendly faces out there, so thanks for letting me listen in. And I'll apologize because I have what I call Packer game voice. I was fortunate to be at the game yesterday, which is well worth the voice today. So go Pack, go. Yeah, so I'm part of IPA, and I met some of you at the kickoff meeting in early November. And spending some very quality time with Al and Dean from the foundation and Kyle and Mike. So I'll just run through what we've done so far and maybe talk about some of the things going on in the future. But we've actually completed not 3, but 6 site visits to various facilities around Wisconsin. And what I think I enjoy about most of it, or most of them, is they're all different. Definitely a variety of them, and they all have a different organizational structure. So I think we looked at 6 really good ones. There's probably a few that zero in much closer to Symons, but yeah, I think it's been a really good tour, and people have been very gracious with time and information. So I want to thank all the facilities. We started out in Mayville at the Tag Center, which may be one of the most closest to what Symons is. It was a very generous couple number of years ago that donated the money for the facility. Mayville is actually run by the city, so it's part of their city recreation department. And they have the pool and fitness center. They have a couple of larger gyms and some other spaces. And they did a remodel not about 8 years ago. Their facility overall, I think, is about 20, 25 years old. So Mayville was first. Then we went over to Sauk Prairie, kind of just down the road from you guys, and looked at their very new aquatic facility. I didn't want to show Kyle because I thought he might, just stay there. They have a huge competition pool, which is definitely different, but they had a nice pool, which is more of a family area with some party room areas. But theirs is completely run through their Fund 80 through the school district. So pretty different. But very good to see the aquatic facility and how they run it. Then on the same day, we went to Cambridge and Whitewater. And Cambridge is a combination of, it's really a 501c3, about 60% funding, and the other 40% comes from the school district and their Fund 80. They have a decent sized pool, a fairly new one. They run a number of recreation programs. They have a very small fitness center, but very good information, and they're doing a nice job in Cambridge. Then we went down to Whitewater. That was actually built by a private foundation. There was some city money originally, and then a private group ran it, then a medical clinic ran it, and now it's finally with the city again. But the school contributes heavily towards it. So it's really a city-run facility, but with some funding from the schools. Last week we went up north and we toured Bloomer and then Black River Falls. Bloomer's maybe the most interesting one. It's very similar size to Symons. It's completely 501c3. But their secret to some of their cash flow is some rentals. So they happen to have the Midwest Fitness or Physical Therapy Center there, and they rent space from them. They also have a couple other offices that provide space and rentals. So they have a nice income from that, but it's really bare bones as far as staffing, and I would question their sustainability in the future once their main person leaves. So, but very good information, great budget information from Bloomer, and very similar size. And then we went to what we call the Taj Mahal of facilities, which is the Lunda Community Center in Black River Falls. They pretty much have everything. It's a beautiful facility. It's a little over 10 years old, and but they are completely through their Lunda Foundation, and so that money was donated for the build. They do share some facilities with the schools, their field house, but their money that they get subsidized is completely from their foundation, which is the only one like it in the state that we could find. So 6 of them we toured, all, like I said, very different in their structure, some larger, but all from communities like size to Richland Center, with the exception probably of Whitewater. I think Whitewater's around 16,000 population. The other ones are all between 3 and 5,000. So we like that they were fairly similar. We're going to be putting together obviously reports and photos and information from all of those facilities and try and take the best from all of them and share that obviously as we go down the road. I don't know, Mike or Kyle or Al, if you want to chime in on any of the facilities or anything that struck you from them.
Well, I'll say, so Black River Falls is a community of about 3,100 people. They told us that they have a service range of around 5,000 to 6,000 people. They've got 3,000 members. But again, they're, like Craig has said, their foundation or the Lunda Foundation subsidizes everything heavily. They haven't changed their rates in 10 years, or they haven't fixed their rates in 10 years. For example, their family annual membership is about $100 less a year than ours is. But again, that's all subsidized through the Lunda Foundation. It's over $800,000 that they give to run the facility. I believe the Lunda Foundation president or chair, one of the guys, had told us at the meeting that what was it? They would need, I don't know if you remember, Craig, if it was 10,000 members to break even, something like that.
It was a high number.
Quite a bit, and they don't have to do, London Center doesn't do any fundraising or capital campaigns, anything like that. If they need anything, they just go and ask the London Foundation and they get it. So it's kind of tough to compare to them, obviously. Like Craig said, it's kind of the gold standard or Taj Mahal. So Mayville, I thought Mayville was probably about the closest to what we have currently. In fact, Mayville is about 5,000 people. It's very, it doesn't have right now a lot of newer growth, a lot of older homes, that type of thing. And one thing that he had told us, the city had recognized, or they've been kind of saying that they're at 5,000 people now, they need to be at 7,500 people to maintain what they currently have for services. So, and that's kind of a similar thing that we've been hearing or talking about here, is where we need to see some population growth so we can maintain our current services. So they're just talking about maintaining their current services, their city services, and needing about 2,500 more people. So they're looking at the same thing, some more housing and type things. So going through a lot of the similar issues. And I think a lot of the things that we had talked about at all of these site visits was most of them are basically right in that 20 to 40% subsidy that they're getting subsidized. Mayville, for example, has about twice our budget. They have about twice the subsidy coming in from the city. So really, we didn't really find anyone that has less of a subsidy that we have, other than the ones that have the huge foundations with the huge endowments. And I think Al, you had said that Lunda has what, over $50 million?
$50 million in their endowment fund.
Yeah. So
London in Black River Falls.
So I did ask, one thing that I did ask them was that they were interested in a Lunda South. We might be able to have the Symons name, but I think. But I don't know, we can also Al or Kyle, that you guys saw it. Your spots.
Just, I was impressed, like at Bloomer, what the director told us there is that, if they have a need there, like they wanted to replace the decking around the pool. And it sounded like once they identified the need, the community, the business community just really stepped up and, took care of it. and it's just the culture of the community there just seems to be very supportive of their facility. And, and I can see a lot of, similarities between Symons and, Bloomer, because the Symons community has really stepped up and supported us as well, from what I can tell. So,
We got some really good ideas from all the facilities, but just seeing, especially, I know one thing that I saw a lot of was the family locker room setup. And I think we'd be able to do in our locker rooms, all the partitions, I guess, was one big thing as well. Really, the spacing isn't that much different, but I think we can get something very similar in that way. So, so that we kind of noticed and kind of got some ideas. We talked a little bit about ideas about how we could use our existing footprint without additions and things like that to get some of the higher priority needs in, I guess, before we start talking about additions and looking at those type of expenses. But so they're all good trips, and we appreciate, all the work that Craig put a lot of work into setting all these things up, and followed up with them. So that we kind of got a two-way communication going with all 6 of these facilities. So that's really good. Do you have any questions for Craig or for any of us on any of the site visits so far? Otherwise, this again is ongoing for few more months yet, and IPA will be, like Craig said, getting this report with some more pictures and things like that out to you guys. And at some point, I believe there's going to be some surveys going out and some discussions with some of the stakeholder groups, including this group and the foundation as well. Anything else from you, Craig?
No, I think we captured it pretty well. One of my favorite things is connecting people. So as Mike said, he probably has 6 new friends in the state that you can draw some information from. And there's lots of little nuggets, anything from how they bring in revenue to some programming to operations. So hopefully that's helpful as we move forward. The one thing for Al, he learned from Bloomer is that he's going to have to start collecting aluminum cans because they bring in $3,000 to $4,000 a year from some gentleman who generously picks them up and turns in the money to them.
Wow.
it's a lot of aluminum cans.
Yeah, that is.
But yeah, we'll be putting that together, the report on that. I believe Jay from our firm will be in town this week. He's probably meeting with a few of you folks or a few of some people from Richland Center. And then, yeah, as Mike said, we have a couple surveys will be done. I'm guessing probably we're putting that together now. So likely after the first of the year, after people get through their holidays, there'll be some site visits again to Symons. There'll be some small group discussions and gathering some information. One thing I'll leave you with, and you may or may not like to hear this, but you guys are doing a very good job. And so you should be commended. When we looked at these facilities for, comparisons and programming and memberships, I mean, Symons is leading the charge really. Yeah, there's 3,000 members at Black River Falls, but that's a gift to the community ultimately. So compared to all these other facilities, for the amount of money they're being subsidized for their indoor pools and fitness centers and their membership, Symons is right up there at the top. So please take that as a compliment, and we'll certainly work with you on coming up with some future ideas for new revenue sources and potential organizational structure options. So thanks very much for letting me listen in. Thanks for listening to my gravelly voice, and we'll look forward to seeing some of you in person soon.
Thanks, Craig.
Thank you, Craig.
Thank you.
Thank you.
One other thing quick on that, again, Mayville, which is again our size, and they have twice our budget. They had mentioned they've got 1,500 members, so you can see we got 1,750 members right now, I guess, but we get up to about 2,000. So, so yeah, like Craig said, we've got half the budget. We've got about the same or a little bit more members than they've got. So that's really good.
Okay, acceptance of donations.
All right, so we had a foundation meeting earlier today, and Al or Kyle, you guys might have to help me remember the number. I forgot to write the numbers down before I came here, but so we had a leg extension leg curl that was $4,000 approved, correct? That donation?
Yeah.
Right, okay. So we got $4,000 for the leg extension leg curl, and we had $500 for a table cover that's ordered, correct?
Hmm.
And did I get all those? That's
6,000 for the benches.
That's right, 6,000 for benches, so replacing the locker room benches as well as the older outside hallway benches. So those were all offered by the foundation earlier today.
You
So
want to describe those benches?
what's that?
Kyle, you
It's
want?
just, it's actually an outside bench, but we'll go inside the locker room. You see them a lot of times in locker rooms. They're a heavier bench that's metal but covered with, so thermoplastic, that was there. Okay, so it's, they just definitely needed replacing. It's very difficult to clean in the locker rooms when the benches are bolted to the ground, stuff gets caught under there, and so we bought ones too that also will mount to the wall, so they won't even touch the ground, and I thought it was a much needed upgrade, so.
Okay, request from St. Mary's.
Actually, we need it.
You need approval of that donation.
Like to make that motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the donations.
I'll second it.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That motion's carried. Now, St. Mary's and the Sea Perch.
All right, we had this last year, for those of you that remember. So they've got their Sea Perch training that they would like to use Symons again, starting in January, basically January and February, having practices a couple times a week for an hour each day. Last year, you approved giving them or letting them use that, and they want to use the pool suite by themselves, basically, because they've got robots going in there and kids, whatever. Last year, you approved it for them for the cost of the lifeguards. Going in there, I believe that was $250, but I would double check the time again, but if that's something you want to do again this year, they're requesting use of the pool again. Can they request exclusive use of the pool for 2 hours a week in January and February for Sea Perch practices?
What's Sea Perch?
It's science.
It's like a science-based, like underwater robotics. They've actually gone to like state and national competitions before.
Motion to approve, same deal as last time.
I'll second that.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve the Sea Perch from St. Mary's. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? It's carried. Okay, request for proposals for the outdoor tennis basketball courts.
All right, I think I'd sent some maps or some information on that, but, so we've got looking at getting some grant money from the UW grant that's left, county that's working on that. But that would be for 2026. So we want to get these RFPs out there going. And it takes a little while to design those. But before we get an RFP out, we don't have an official approval of what you kind of want us to design for. The information that I sent you by email was basically how we've been kind of going about it at this point now is pretty much designing a very similar footprint to what's in Crossville Park right now with 6 pickleball courts, 1 tennis court, and 1 basketball court. So we did have a couple of people ask us to make sure that we continue to have a tennis court available because there isn't a lot of tennis available in town yet. But we do have a lot of pickleball players as well, and we can replace 6 pickleball courts on 2 tennis courts, basically. So using the same footprint that's up there right now, and just again, basically replacing 2 tennis courts with 6 pickleball courts. I think I sent a couple of different options of maps. So we do have the option where we can move the tennis court. It doesn't have to be exactly in the same area. Of course, it's going to cost a little bit more to move it. There will be some base material. We're going to have to replace some of the base material anyway, because it's part of the reason we've had some of the foundation issues is we do have to replace some of the existing foundation that's there. But moving it would be additional foundations. So the only advantage to moving it, and I think I sent one map where there would be an option if a future addition on the building would be made. It could be made either back of the building on the north side, or it could also be made on the west side of the building. The advantage to that on the west side of the building is a little bit more visibility. Right now it's tucked behind the gymnasium and it's really hard to see. It's kind of a poor placement for visibility. But again, the tennis court, the courts are in the way right now of the west side. There would be a little bit more of expense. I don't know how much. But you could move the courts a little bit. if you wanted to do that option. So I guess just starting to get the discussion kind of going on what you guys kind of want to see in those courts. Is there a different design you guys want to see, but we need to start getting specs together so we can get RFPs out there. And then we can, hopefully we can get these RFPs out and a contractor approved before the frost lifts, so we can kind of get going on these things right away. I don't know if anyone has any strong opinions one way or another, if they wanted to do anything different as far as design goes.
I looked at the design, I thought that they looked fine. Is there a need to move them? Because if we want to move them, this would be the time to do
Yeah,
it.
that's kind of why I brought it up. It will obviously, again, I don't know how much more it may or may not cost. The other thing is, we're not expecting to put lighting in it this time. Our lights up there now, and we can put lighting up there, so it can be lighted in the future. But there's really no need, I don't think, right now, and there's an extra cost to put new light posts up and everything. So that would be an advantage to keeping them in the spot as well, is slightly lower cost with less of the base materials, but you've also got the wiring already there, you just cap off the wiring. But yeah, the only reason I kind of brought it up was in case you did want to put it somewhere other than put a future edition, possibly anywhere other than the north side of the building, then now, yeah, like you say, now would be the time to do it. And there really hasn't been any discussion about any serious discussion about any addition now from the foundation or from anyone yet. So that's, more than likely, there's enough that we've got to do to address what we currently have before we get into that anyway. So we're really not at a point where we're discussing anything about any possibilities of additions down the road, other than addressing our lot issues and working some of our existing equipment.
I guess I'd like to see them moved, just in case, down the road, there's a desire for addition on Symons. I don't know. You don't have any idea what the extra cost?
No, and we can get a rough estimate of the cost too.
Yeah.
Pick that around because it might be different. If it's $5,000, might not be a big deal. If it's $20,000,
Might make you think.
Yep,
Yep.
yep, I can do that and bring that back. I don't think we're quite at the point to make any decisions yet anyway, just kind of wanted to get some feedback.
Where would you move them to? Just further west?
Well, so, yeah, so we're working, and we'll actually have, this will be on the agenda later, but getting a recommendation to the county board stating, recommending some property for Symons. So we kind of want to limit it within that piece, and really to the best place to do it would be to move it slightly east of where it's at now, so it would be actually behind the building, because it is fairly flat back there, so there wouldn't be a whole lot of earth moving. There is already some base there they would have to relocate. I thought I printed them off, I passed them off. Yeah, okay. So I can pass off one of them, I
Just
think.
one of them.
Like one of them, yeah, I didn't.
The other one has it moved up here, Rachel,
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't know why that.
up here further.
The other one probably sitting down. But,
Okay.
But you said if we move them, we would also have to move the lights and stuff up there. Correct? The lighting.
eventually, if you wanted light, eventually, 'cause-
Okay. The only reason that is, do you remember, Todd, when we discussed at the city replacing some of the lights in the park?
Yes,
It was extremely expensive.
it's a lot more than you think it is.
Yes, like sticker shock. We were surprised. So that's why I would say leave it here.
So we never did put new lights in on the church league diamonds because of the price. And we need to do it. We still haven't done it because of the price. That's what you're gonna get. So it's a choice, but she's right.
yeah, and I can get a rough estimate on lighting to get a lighting company that works with. And we can get a, rough estimate of what it would cost lighting parts.
How many poles or whatever are out there?
Well, right now, there's
6.
Four or six. Six.
See, that's what,
I'm gonna guess 6.
if you picture where the church league diamonds, or the old football field at Crossville Park, those poles were put in there in the fifties. Part of the issue is that is aged and they're very, very tall. They didn't have now, but they were then. So I don't know if it's apples to apples, but this was hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, this wouldn't be, that much. Obviously, it would be another cost, and there's other options. I mean, now they've got solar lighting as well that are used in parks more. But that's still, it's a higher cost to put in solar lighting as opposed to just wired lighting. But yeah, and that's something that, could be putting down the road if that's something that's of interest as well. And like I said, it's our idea when we gave our estimate to the county, we didn't include replacing the lights on it at this time. We just capped off the lights, capped off the wiring there, and could be used down the road in the future. So I can bring back some more information, and that might.
Relocation makes sense.
What's that?
So relocating them makes sense in terms of the future.
Yeah.
Give yourselves options.
The other, and part of the reason I bring that up too is because we're basically tearing them out anyway and rebuilding them. We can use the majority of the base material, we'll have to add a little bit more. We can use the wiring, just cap it off. But for the most part, it's almost, it's not much different than building brand new courts. So and the other option from there is if you, for whatever reason, wouldn't want them on the campus property, our agreement with the state is that we just have to provide the same footprint somewhere else in a county facility if we didn't have it here. So there is the option to move them off of here. I don't think you would really want to necessarily, but that's another option. Basically, we're starting from scratch again, building them up from scratch. So if there's another area where we'd rather have them, that's also another thing to look at if you're interested.
Pickleballers have good pockets.
Yeah. I can bring that back to the next meeting if anyone has anything else for that, but.
Okay. RFPs for the Marty Brewer Nature Trail.
So I sent up, so John was gracious enough a few months ago to write up this and email it to you all. But he had went up there and came up with some ideas for some signage wording, and you can go ahead and take off on that if you want.
Yeah, what I did is a little different than the map we got is I have, behind the building, turned right, went straight up the hill and then caught the trail there. That map shows the trail going straight to the back where you do it either way. And just picked out some different things of interest that people could take their kids to, or they could walk themselves, learn about some of the features of the area and trees and insects and that kind of stuff, so.
So it's similar to this, we also need to get some RFPs out there for the design, solicitation of the design of these signs, the signage, so we would have, wording, whether we use, John's wording and, have him, or ask him to do the wording for you or whatever, so we get the wording down there, and then we'll get some pictures, kind of, some graphics to kind of go along with them, so there'll be nice attractive signs that go up there. And, there's some in there that you notice that John had put in about. So it's not just, the trees and everything, there's some historic, some Richland Center signs, so like at an overlook, there could be a, Richland Center, I think there's one about looking at the valley or whatever, so there's different kind of signs that way too. But we'll be looking for getting RFPs out for those sign designs as well, so if there's other feedback that you guys have for signs that you want to see or anything additional or any, feedback for John, because we'll continue to work with him because he's kind of the expert with some of the stuff back there. So, but yeah, we want to use this as kind of an educational piece as well as the wellness trail so that, kids can go back there and learn about, the different plants that are up there and invasive species and things like that.
Who takes care of the signs then?
Once they're up, we will. I mean, they're 20-year warranty. They're nice signs. I mean, they're not. Yeah. Yeah, there's not a lot of maintenance to them, but there won't be 20 years probably gone by then.
I visited a school, outdoor classroom that I oversaw before I moved to Richland Center. And they had put signs along the 400 bike trail runs right through the middle of it. So they put some signs in there along the 400 trail, the state did. And they, the only thing that, and they'd probably been there for 30 years. The only thing there was, some of them, there was a little bit of like, lichens or something growing on them, but other than that.
Or plots or something.
Yeah.
I'd make a motion to solicit RFPs based on John's design.
I'll second it.
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Future space needs.
All right, so I have email, it's having the map, if you know, it's copy or if you get. Thank you. But so basically, campus reconfiguration committee is working with SEH on, working now on getting some marketing, some ideas down for the, campus property, and we were asked to request what we want for Symons property. So we talked some in the past about there might be an interest in the future about additional space, and we want to preserve that before the county kind of considers other uses for the property. So what I had done in the map here is we separated out the Marty Brewer Trail, so that will stay with Richland County, or that's our proposal, that would stay with Richland County. And that's kind of the green area at the top there. Includes about 40 acres, or a little bit more than 40 acres, and the trails back in there. And then below Symons, we get the Richland School District property that was or that's in the process of being sold to the school district. And then, of course, is the soccer field, the gymnasium, Melville Hall, and then the parking lot in front of Melville, and then the green space behind Melville. And then the blue area in the middle there is our initial conceptual draft of requesting for the Symons property, and that includes the parking lot just in front of Symons and a little bit wider. So we had a request for potentially expanding that parking lot in the future. So that was included with the school district's offer, I believe, to allow for that parking lot to widen if needed, especially if a new future street is possibly coming in to connect back to Symons. So that road would be redone through there. And then, of course, the tennis court, and then Symons, and then you can see a little space behind Symons, or enough space behind Symons to do a future addition back there, as well as move the solar panels up the hill a little bit if needed, to get them out of the shade there, and also to allow space for a future addition if that should ever happen. The other thing that could happen with the solar panels is if an addition is made, if the roof specs are created so that the solar panels could go on top of the roof. Of course, that takes some different engineering for that, but that's another possibility rather than using that hillside. So basically, I know that reconfiguration committee will be discussing this at, I think it's next week. You got your next meeting, I believe. So they'll be they're trying to get this kind of settled and squared away so that SEH can start doing some of their work on this. So what we need to do is come to them with a proposal with what you guys would like to see for Symons property, safe for Symons.
Mike, with the addition of that green space for the Symons Circle, how many cars could you potentially fit in?
So Al and I measured it a couple of days ago.
Yeah, the existing parking lot on the sidewalk by the campus gym to the edge of the pavement is 72 feet wide. And then the size of that green space is 66 feet.
So I'm just wondering, like, in terms of number of cars.
I don't know. I mean, it's just,
What
I
would
mean, we were just brainstorming. And, you know, right now you pull in perpendicular. And an idea I had is that if the green space turned into additional parking, that it would be angle parking. You know, you come in and angle park to the right and left, coming up through, then loop around onto the green space, the angle parking, and then exit back out to Symons Circle. Just, we were just talking, trying to come up with ideas. But I don't know, I'd have to sit down and figure out, the actual numbers of extra, how many vehicle spaces we have now, what it would turn into for angle parking. I can run the numbers. I mean,
Yeah, I think I'd want to know that,
yeah,
you know.
yep. I mean, the other, and the other thing, I'm wondering about is, the whole street. I'm thinking about pedestrian safety, older people and families with little kids walking through the Symons parking lot. If that street comes right out into the Symons parking lot, is that safe? I don't, it's just, I don't know how quick high school kids drive these days. I know how they did when I was in high school.
Not so good.
So I mean, I don't know I'm not a civil engineer. I don't know what the right answer.
I'm just wondering if membership does increase, American states coming in, what's the car capacity? The ideal, because in the morning it's pretty tight. Especially if you have these, 464, 5 a.m.
Does the parking lot get shared with the gymnasium?
It's not supposed to. That was one thing that was included in the agreement with the school district, was that parking lot stays with Symons. And what they're trying to do now, even now that they're using the gym, is they're trying to have people park on the, it would be the south side of the gym, that parking lot.
Yeah.
Larger parking lot there. We haven't really noted, I mean, buses have been parking out there. We haven't really noticed, or that I've noticed anyway, there haven't really been any problems with the school in their parking.
We've only had one conversation on it. We're doing it again at the next reconfiguration committee meeting, so I'm told. That's the possibility of some single-family houses up there behind the buildings. How exactly that impacts any of this layout, I don't know, because we don't know. But that is gonna be, it's gotten some momentum. It's been one whole meeting, but it's gotten some momentum. So we'll be talking about that again next week. So when you mentioned panorama, possibly 17 or 18 single-family homes on the campus property behind the buildings, then I wouldn't be surprised within 5 years, if there's more development west of the campus as well. So there's gonna be that west side of the river is gonna have more activity than it ever had in this city's history. So getting this the way we want it, gotta go, because they're coming. I mean, I don't see any way, the push to put these houses out there is getting very easy now, because we're getting some duplexes, we're getting some apartments, so single-family houses. There's not gonna be a more obvious fit than that. That's valuable. And then, panorama. So exactly where the problem I have is not a problem. The information we don't have is if that happens, where's the road coming off of Hive Drive exactly gonna be? Because that's gonna be a city street that would feed to those houses. It's gonna have to meet city ordinance, so curb and gutter, all that's a street. And it's gonna come in here from somewhere over here off Hive Drive. And that's all gotta get sorted out. So there's a lot going on here beyond this picture now. It's all good stuff. It's all exciting, fun, next generation stuff. But so do you have anything you wanna, I mean, I just got to one meeting, the campus reconfig, I mean.
That's all we've talked about. It's one meeting, but it's a circumstance where, okay, the county's got some property available, the city has some money available that could be going for infrastructure. So, hey, if we could put these two together, we create a fantastic opportunity to develop some single family homes. And if you look at the type of housing we need, we've got panorama going up, that's apartments. The story field is duplexes. This would be single family homes. So it's a different variety of housing and there is a need for it.
It does, and then he's right. They've got the land, we've got some grant money, which must be used for infrastructure. Well, guess what we need? And don't forget that the campus was on city utilities, so there you go. I don't know how this affects Symons, because Symons was built 20 years after the campus was built. But what we found is we got, imagine that, aged water pipes and things away, old iron pipes and things. So when we do, if we do houses up there, we're gonna have to put in wider diameter pipes, new pipes, things like this. It isn't just hook onto what's there. It's gonna be replacing hook onto what's there. So I don't really know the infrastructure that's feeding Symons, other than to say it was built something like 22 years more recently than the rest of this was built. But when we're out there digging around, have we had any issues with the infrastructure that's serving the facility? Okay. And okay, and then when the school has the gym, I mean, that's where the boiler is, isn't it? What, any issues related to Symons that'll tie into when they change their heating and cooling and everything? Okay, so, okay. I just want to make sure, because we're gonna get one chance to, that we don't miss anything. And because there's, I guess I just think there's gonna be more than one project going on in the same space. A Symons redo, improvement, and probably some homes. And I would say, if homes don't get done now, they're gonna get done. The whole town is up pushing it now, because we need them, and where else do we have? We don't.
You know, if that's the anticipatory growth, we may need some more. The parking lot, or especially keep it safe.
Yeah.
Well, and the comment about pedestrian access, if you get people that live within walking distance of it, they may be walking there. So,
Well, and I expect, we gotta get the DOT into this. When you start, so there's one more panorama building going up, and there's another one called for yet. And we're talking about houses, and we're talking about all this. We're gonna end up with a roundabout out there. Just get ready for it. I mean, because right now you're coming in from 14 at 55, and you go from 55 to 30, which is ridiculous in the first place. It's dangerous to slow down 25 miles an hour in one hit, and you're gonna have another 46 apartments feeding down out of there, across from the high school. What did you say about high school kids?
They drive a little fast.
So you got the high school feeding out buses and kids, and you got 2 apartment buildings on the hill, and all the traffic that we're gonna have off that campus property, because these guys are gonna keep pushing until that whole thing gets redeveloped. They have to. So it's just not gonna be 18 houses. There's whatever gets into the rest of that footprint too. So this whole area is gonna be very different over the next, say, 5 to 10. One step at a time. So when you say, yeah, pickleball, absolutely, and all of this, and where do we want the lights and all of that? Yeah, parking needs to be straightened out right now too. Because the growth in Richland Center, with the exception of where Story Field is all gonna be out there from, there could be more later, but what we have is all right up there.
So Mike, what's your deadline for making this recommendation to the town board? Or have they given a deadline when they want
I
recommendations?
haven't heard a deadline, but I think they.
it's on our agenda for next meeting next
Yeah.
week, so.
Oh,
I mean,
okay.
I think, yeah, if you can start getting some feedback to them, I mean, at least, so I know they're trying to do a bunch of stuff too, and they haven't. I mean, I submitted an idea to them, but we missed our meeting last month, so I wanted to make sure that you guys get your idea, because it's your idea that should be going to them, not mine. So what you guys think, or, you know, if you think that there needs to be more space, especially like east of the building, if there needs to be more east of the building, or if you think there needs to be more for parking lot, then we should get those comments to the committee, so that they know that.
Yeah. I mean, I like your idea here. I agree. The problem is there's a lot of moving pieces of the what ifs. You know, what if this happens? What if that happens? But I mean, I think to start with, this is a good recommendation. But again, do we need more parking? Are we expecting Symons to have one expansion or more? Sure. That's.
I mean, you can certainly ask for more, it doesn't hurt, obviously.
So going, the orange line that goes, between Symons and the gym, and then goes like around the backside towards the solar panels. That doesn't seem, but it might just be visual, doesn't seem like that's much space.
I mean, heading toward the library.
Yes, and then it heads up the hill. Would there ever be a need to make sure you could get a, access road around Symons? Not just,
I looked at that a lot too. I looked a lot at roads and,
yeah,
you know, unless, I mean, it'd be nice if Bancroft was a little bit better than what it is and we could come from the east side, around the back
oh,
there.
I see.
And maybe at some point it could be, but I mean, obviously that's more money too, and no one's brought that up tonight, so that's not. But yeah, I mean, that's a possibility, and that's one thing that, you know, Symons needs to have, you know, obviously a connection to whatever street it is, so we can't kind of, cut it off from everywhere, but that's, you know, certainly an option too, but that's for others. Yeah, it certainly doesn't hurt, especially with the library building coming down. We talked a little bit about the east side of Symons and
Yeah,
some opportunities there. If you look at the existing building, and if you're looking at the existing facility and you're looking at adding on, not a real good layout because you're adding on to the east side of the pool and all of a sudden the pool's in the middle and
right.
it's nice to have the lobby and everything in the middle. And that kind of throws that off. So it's not the best setup that way.
Well, I was just thinking of an access road, not necessarily a street, a city street, but
Yep.
just
An access road, yeah.
if there was enough room to put one of those in.
Yep, and, you know, go around, they'd have to go behind pretty much. Simon behind the tennis court, behind Simon's, or, and maybe that's the reason to move the tennis courts as well, to get more easily get a road back in there or get more parking where the tennis courts are. I don't know.
Well, that makes sense.
What about like this piece right here?
Yep.
Adding that, the reason I'm thinking is maybe not even necessarily expanding the building, but there could be future expansion of more outdoor activities as well. You never know, we might find in 5 years that pickleball has reached a fever pitch and we need to put some more courts over here. It's hard, I mean, I can't believe what it is now, so,
So basically Melody on her map is
sorry.
kind of squaring off from, basically from the school district property going straight up rather than going over and joining up, going straight up from the school district property up to the back there. So you're pretty much going all the way over to the library, building with Simon's property is kind of the idea, what she's suggesting.
So let me ask a question. What about fire protection? Let's say, God forbid, there's a fire at Symons. Is there gonna be room to get fire trucks? Where they would need, you know, depending on the development that would happen over by the library, you know, that's why I'm wondering if the line between Symons and the library needs to be moved closer to the library. You know, which is in line with what you said for the access road.
Just get you to Scott Gold, the fire chief. I'm gonna be at the fire board meeting in a half hour and can hand him this map. And say, hey.
I mean, I'm just asking.
Oh, it's a great question.
You know, it's just, you know, the fire hydrant is out here at the one corner by the parking lot, but what if they need a truck?
Well, and again, and a lot of ifs, if we do put houses up there, I'm sure there'll be another hydrant somewhere.
Yeah.
But I think I'm glad you said that, because I should have thought of that, not going over there.
Yeah.
I'll give them this.
I mean, it's just,
No, it's very important.
I'm just asking the question, you know, just,
It's a big question. I'll get Scott. Have you ever talked to Scott Hall?
I know him, yeah, I'll see him tomorrow morning.
Perfect.
I mean, if he comes to class.
He's on it. Oh, why didn't you have this ready? Come on, Jeez, we're talking.
Yeah, I can't phase him.
Don't ever try to sell him anything. I have twice. But for real though, that's.
But yeah,
a
but
great question.
if you would ask him, I mean, and it depends what happens with development on the rest of the campus, you know, like if something gets put where the library currently is.
Well, and that's, Alan, you guys have to get some stuff done out there. They can't afford the buildings. I mean,
Yeah.
sort of all of this stuff. So I think the anticipation should be assume that whole thing gets redeveloped. And if we're wrong, we're coming back once because they're gonna try to. And so all of the layout, fire is a great point, everything is, traffic control, everything is. And the only tricky part we have trying to sort this out is just how many conversations, house is this, and then the rest of the, and what the school district's doing, what they just got. And we're in 4 different.
The current library or classroom building caught fire right now. I'm assuming they're driving fire trucks on the sidewalk to get to it.
They'd have to.
Because there aren't roads back there.
Well, there's no road off.
Right. Yep. I mean,
It's never happened.
right. And, and I hope it never does.
Right, yeah.
Or if something else happens, there needs to be emergency vehicles of whatever shape and size and purpose.
That's, I mean, as we look at redeveloping, that's one of the limitations of the property. There's not ready vehicle access to beyond the parking lot areas. You can get a vehicle there, but it's not really built for that.
It's not designed for it.
No, it's not.
And these buildings frankly are close together, which could be a concern. So I mean, so I guess that's the only thing I would, is if a new property line is gonna be drawn, does there, just need to be enough room for emergency vehicles
I
to
agree.
Yeah.
I think you should be able to circle all the buildings.
And SEH may be able to, offer some insight to that as well, and that's fine.
That clear it up for you?
Good person.
So would you like me to basically, like what Melody was suggesting, shift that line on the east side, that orange dotted line over to, so it comes up from the school district, so basically it comes up to the library. So we square off from the library back to where it's at, so we just add that little area on the east side, that gives us a pretty good little chunk there. But whether it's,
And then maybe the library won't be there either. So
Well, that building.
I would say it's pretty likely it will not be.
That
Yeah,
building's coming.
Yeah, the library's going away.
so I mean, that might be a starting point if you wanna take that map to them, we're adding a little bit to the east side and, and it's gonna be county property, so. Cause as long as Symons is county, I own its county property anyway, so the county could always come back and change it later too. If Symons was ever transferred or whatever.
So Dave, the classroom building and the library will be coming down, right?
I am almost certain they will be. We have been told that they are both in such bad shape that to rehabilitate them to current standards is far more expensive than tearing them down and rebuilding.
And aren't those, the utilities are turned off in them anyway?
Presently, the water is shut off to both those buildings. The electricity is still on. Minimal heat is provided in those buildings just to keep it from being destroyed, basically. But if we're gonna tear them down anyway, we've still got some things to get out of both of those buildings. They're not quite vacant yet.
Mike, there's an old organizing adage that when you negotiate like this, always ask for 25% more than what you really want.
All right, well, since the county board chair is here, you'll get 75% of what you ask for. Now that I understand the tactics.
If you got the votes.
So let's double the size of the parking here too.
Double the size of our.
Yeah. I mean, it's in the floodplain. Nothing can be built there.
I think with the parking and the tennis courts, we just need to be mindful of runoff and stuff too.
Yeah.
As we change patterns out there, it's gonna affect things.
Yeah.
Not that it can't be done, it's just.
Right. It's just something, yes, it's all part of this complicated equation.
Yep.
Yeah, and with all that potential building going on there, plus 2 big apartment buildings at Panorama, obviously the brush break's gonna even bottle up even more. Some stormwater control, so. And the flooding.
Last time we had a high water a couple years ago, it got close to the gym.
Okay, let's move on. Committee correspondence. Committee stuff.
You guys have anything?
I got nothing.
Okay, future agenda items? Right, the motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
I'll second it.
All those in favor, signify by saying
Aye.
opposed. Who would be?
That's enough for you.
What's time?